Let's see. So, yeah, it says we are recording. I guess.
Here we are, culmination of many a months of talking about, hey, we should do what everybody else is literally doing and talk to each other. And like, we're going to find a crowd of people that give a damn and force them to talk to us.
We're all 6 people that are going to be stoked to listen to this episode, dude.
Yeah, well, hopefully, obviously, we could have always sprung for a better setup, recording wise, mic wise, anything wise. Literally chatting with each other like it's 2003. But that's cool, man. You know, it's cool. We come from meager beginnings. Right now, it's just 2 dudes about to do some yoga or hang out in France with these doors.
If you turn the audio off, dude, we look real.
You said what?
If you turn the audio off, we probably each look real artsy.
Jesus, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked to be doing this. Whatever this is. Honestly, as me and you have talked about, brainstorming and ideas for what a podcast would sound like, look like with the both of us. With all the stuff that we're into, I'm just kind of stoked. Whether it be skateboarding stuff or the punk rock stuff or all the stuff that we have in common. We're just shooting the shit. We always wind up taking 2 lefts or right, having to come on back to try and find where we started. So I think it should be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet, man. It's pretty much just like the collection of many FaceTime calls. Just now 3 other people can listen to it. So.
Yeah. Recording through this new software that you found. Software called Zoom. So we'll see how the audio pans out for this. Obviously, if the video is good enough, put that out there too. But for right now, just trying to give it a test run, see how it rolls, and just really see what we can do with what we have. If we need to, invest in further equipment, maybe we'll take a look at that down the road. But this sounds good. If it ain't broke, and don't bother not trying to break it more.
If it ain't broke, keep it not broken. That's what I always say, dude.
If it's too hot in the kitchen, you need to get yourself another kitchen.
Crack the back door. Get some airflow in there, dude.
So, anyways, I know earlier, getting back to what some of these conversations and these casts might entail. I know that you had sent me earlier, I can't remember if it was today or yesterday, the battle commander of one Tony the Hawk, 51 years old and still getting on the board, skating better than I ever could.
Dude,
what did you take away from that? Because you just texted me and we didn't really talk about it. I actually just recently got around to watching it earlier this afternoon. But what do you think, yay or nay?
First off, man, I mean, Tony's 51 years old, like you said. So, I mean, that in and of itself is insane. And what's even more insane is he's 51 years old and didn't make a vert part. Like, all the training stuff he skated in there was just like filler. Like, I kind of just need to throw a trick here, But, I mean, dude was like skating stair sets, skating handrails, like big boy stuff. So, I mean, it was not, I tell you what was even sicker, man. I was going to say the link to that, but I don't think I did. They did another thing, because this whole week he took over the barracks. It's like Tony Hawk week at the barracks. He did a thing, well, he didn't do it, but like every pro skater ever that matters filmed like a little clip and then like, I guess, texted it to the barracks, just like shouting out Tony and like thanking him for everything that he's done, like for their career and for the industry. And it was like, dude, Eric Costin, Lance Mountain, Jamie Thomas, dude, like anybody that mattered was just like, yo, Tony, thanks for everything, dude. So it was super sick. Cause I mean, I'm sure it's the same for you. Like when you first kind of get on the board and stuff, it's always like you were down with the Birdman because you like played the video game, but at the same time you were like, oh dude, no, he's over there skating vert ramps, dude. I'm trying to kickflip 5 stairs and stuff like that, you know? So it's like, it's funny to just think that for so long, the whole industry was like, Tony Hawk, the bagel bites, dude. And then he comes out and is like mopping the floor with dudes that are kind of skating right now. I mean, some of them tricks were like bangers, dude. Like, I don't know if you saw, there's that one, this is going to be really good for the audio, but he went up that little hip and then like smithed the hubba down back into the quarter pipe. I don't know if you saw that, but that was, and it was just in there. Like they were just like, oh, here's the thing, Tony. Yeah. Like it wasn't even slow mo or anything. That was nuts, dude.
Yeah, I did see that. I think, and I'll cover or address a couple of the things that you brought up that I'd really like to delve into. I love talking history and where we came up. Where I just like talking about that with anybody that's ever really skated, just talking about where you came from, what you were interested in, what got you into skating, stuff like that. So I'm sure this, as well as any other future casts, are going to be sprinkled with that. But specifics of the BC, he did, I want to say it was maybe like the first 45 seconds or something in, he just, like right off the bat, like you said, I was like, Tony's about to just rip the barracks. Like he's not just going to get into a pipe or just vert it up. But the first 40 seconds in, he does this nasty like shove it to like 1-footed tail slide on top of this little bank that goes over like a box.
Yeah.
And just crushes it. And I was like, yo, that was sick. It was like that little bit of old school, but like a little bit of new school. And like you already addressed, just seeing Tony do anything that isn't vert is like mad impressive. I mean, not to take away from his vert skills, like what, like it's not impressive. Like Tony Hawk doing 900 isn't impressive.
Like Tony.
Sorry, I had to quench my thirst. I just, it's incredible. It's insane to see what that dude's still doing. Watching interviews or seeing other guys that are around that age skate, like the legendary guys of my era, your era, Templeton, Thomas, like all them guys still killing it like they're doing, but Tony being, 51 years old. Just the other day, I was watching one of my favorite guys, Mike B, just killing it. And I know there's a lot of people that aren't like a huge fan of like the old school tricks and if it isn't like the nastiest flip trick or gnarliest grind down a stair rail, like it can't be bothered, whatever. But I just think I think it's insane. Any guy who can get out there still at that age. Like I'm 32, I'm a little older than you, right? Yeah. 32 years old. And I get winded after about 15 minutes on a board and trying to kick flip a 3-stair or even especially, and that's a couple of years ago when I was like a little bit more heavier into it, but now I haven't been off the board in forever. Now it's just really trying to find an ollie, trying to get a 180 back, just basic stuff. And I'm like cashed. You talk about half hour, and I'm just like, oh. And to see a dude at 51, granted he's the greatest, if not one of the greatest skaters of all time, but still to see just a 51-year-old human still go and crush it like that. I mean, I thought the boss, Andrew Reynolds, I thought his couldn't be beat as far as being somebody that's a little bit more up there and just annihilating everybody that came before him, whether it be Nigel Houston or whoever. And then Tony was just like, oh, I got next. And
don't mind me, guys.
Even had time to throw in Riley and kids. Like, that was sick.
Yeah. I thought it was sick, too, that, like, because I honestly, I mean, I feel like I knew, obviously I know Riley, but I feel like I only knew that there was, like, one other young bird. I don't think I knew that there was, like, he had an army of children. So I thought it was sick that like the other kid, I mean, his daughter was in there and she was kind of pushing, which was super dope. But the other kids kind of had like two, I think maybe even three tricks. And then Riley just kind of had that one, like, hey, I'm Riley, here I am kind of thing. I thought that was sick because, I mean, he might already have a battle commander, but if he doesn't, Riley could definitely have one. So it's
Absolutely.
to know that like maybe the other kids can't. And again, I don't even know how good those kids are, but it's just cool to know that all like they're just Tony himself and then assuming Riley, they're all just so humble of just like I imagine it just went Riley was like, yeah, I'm here. I'll get a trick, whatever, but I'm not trying to take over your battle commander, I thought that was tight.
Yeah, and that's I think it's just like kind of like a testament to who Hawk is. He's at this point now. It's like it's not about him. It's about his legacy of leaving, not his like personal legacy of skateboarding, which obviously speaks for itself. But just like that's who he is now. It's Tony Hawk the skater, but also Tony Hawk the father of these up and comers, as well as Riley, who's already basically established himself. It's just really, really cool. It was really, really neat to see that. And I loved, Riley had way more of like a newfound respect for him. Not like I didn't respect the guy, but after I watched/listened to his Nine Club podcast, that was really cool. Just like really, him being super again. And I think I knew that he was super against, skating for Birdhouse and like anything that was associated with, Tony. And I was like, that's really cool. Like, cause you don't get that a lot, whether it's like Hollywood or any like just type of celebrity or children of celebrities, a lot of the time it is like trying to ride that. And I was like, no, I'm going to ride my own style, my own way, do my own thing. He like basically turned his back on Bert altogether too. It was like
the opposite of Tony, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And that was probably one of the only Nine Clubs I watched that wasn't, like a guy that I grew up on, watching or whatever, whether it was, excuse me, whether it was, Andy Roy or Jamie or Mike V's epic 5+ hour Lord of the Rings of the Nine Clubs.
Mike V took him to school, dude.
Insane. Really, really cool though. Like he speaks like you're listening to Mike V speak, especially like in that regard was like, I don't know. It was like listening to a story, but like you could see it. He's very descriptive in everything he talks about. So it was like listening to a film, like listening to a movie, of his life. And that was just really, really super, super cool. And that's, that's the type of stuff that I usually, like I said, that I'm usually interested in is people that I kind of grew up on and people that I'm interested in. Not to say I won't like watch episodes of or listen to episodes of like guys that are, a little bit newer than that. Like I said, case in point, Riley. So that was really cool. Really badass to just like know that he was not your typical like, oh yeah, my dad's so and so, da 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 da. You always like to hear like guys just kind of carving their own path when he could have easily just been like, yeah, I'm Tony Hawk's son. Like didn't even have to skateboard, let alone know his own path. So that was super dope. But yeah, man, Tony absolutely. I think we can both agree he absolutely killed that battle commander. So that was cool, holding it down for the old man army.
Yeah, dude, I had to come back and do it one time for the one time, dude. He had to put the kids to bed, man, because it was. I feel like now, dude, there's gonna be so much. Like it's almost like, I don't know if it still is, but I know when the barracks first came out, that's when I was like, skating religiously every day, and the barracks was like. That the barracks is where you went. If it happened on the barracks, you knew about it the next day. Everybody did if you skated. So I feel like now after Tony came out and did what he did, everybody's just going to have to like step it up. Because there's some things, even though skateboarding at this point, dude, is beyond anything anybody ever thought it would be even 5 years ago, dude. It's insane. Like I don't even know what dudes are doing now. Like it doesn't even make sense, dude. Like flipping into handrails every time. Like Nigel did that 5 years ago, like kickflip 50, some like 16 stair. Everybody was like, that's it, dude. This is skateboarding. Nothing's ever going to beat that. And now, like, if you don't kickflip into Smith or Feeble or anything like that down a handrail, dude, it doesn't count. Like it's not going to get put in the part. You didn't flip into it. So like, it's nuts, dude. But I feel like now people are just going to have to step it up even more. It's just going to be like, oh, dude, Tony skates a vert ramp every day. He just showed up, and I mean, he's riding with the boys now. Like we gotta figure something out, dude. Yeah.
I feel like kind of like how you touched on is like, you know, he's got his vert thing, and that's all fine and well and everything. But like realistically, you know, who's the king of street? Everybody has their own, I think. I think if you were to ask 10 people, you would more than likely get 10 different answers. You know, then you're like, who's king of vert? Well, Tony Hawk, like hands down. It's not even a question. You know, some people would say, you know, Danny Way, or some people would say, another 90s cat like Burnquist or freaking Bucky, or, you know, Andy McDonald, or, you know, somebody that was around the same time that Tony was coming up and just destroying. But it's like, really, he's the undisputed king. Like it went way past that. It went past the game. It went past the X Games. It was just like, he just completely destroyed it. And it wasn't just because of, you know, the 900 that he pulled off and everybody went completely insane. It was like that guy had that title for the longest time. But I think it's just very interesting when you think about street and, you know, what makes somebody, you know, what constitutes as the best. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I think I would probably be hard pressed to get a unanimous name, you know, out there, whether it's somebody that I grew up on or before that, you know, or even now, you know, even now with like the new cats coming up and stuff like that. Because before I would have said like, you know, Mullen or Day One, or one of them dudes that were just completely crushing it. That would be like a no-brainer. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
No, I think street-wise, dude, because I mean, and then even street skating has like 15 subcategories. Like, right. Oh, you're a street skater. Do you skate handrails or do you skate ledges? Like, are you a tech guy or are you kind of a hesh guy? I feel like with vert, it's just like, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But yeah, dude, street-wise, man, and that's the crazy thing too, is that because of the kind of two separate eras of skateboarding that we were both in, our answers would vary so differently, or if not differently, like for different reasons. I feel like you were coming up in kind of like the Stevie days, you know, like them dudes. And I feel like there was a lot of like small wheels and like pressure flips on ledges and stuff. I feel like that was like kind of the move. And then when I was pushing around a lot coming up, that's when handrails kind of took over. That was right after Zero came out with Misled Youth, and it was like find the biggest stairs with the longest handrail and go skate it. But what I do think is just kind of weird about it is like how it always takes the regular public so much longer to catch up to what the pros are doing, or it used to anyway. When I was skating, but now it's not that way. Like now, if you go to any park down the street, like some 15-year-old kid could have a video park, and you like he's just as good as those kids. But like for us, it was like, oh, I don't know, dude. Chris Cole or Andrew Reynolds just frontside flipped like Wallenberg, like a big giant 4-block.
Yeah.
And now like 15-year-old me is over here just like spending all day, like I said, trying to kick flip a 5-stair or something weird like that. Yeah. But nowadays it's just like I feel like dudes watch the pros do stuff and they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go out and try to do that same thing. But a lot of that is probably social media and stuff like that playing a very substantial role in it. I feel like it's available more to kids now than it was to us, where like obviously I had YouTube and stuff when I was skating around, but there was still an element of like I have to wait for this video to come out, or yeah, there's YouTube, but I don't know, this video is still going to come out on DVD, something like that. But now you just hop on YouTube, type it in, dude, you can watch it, and you can watch it in 7 different languages.
Dude, that's the kicker. Like you said, we're not far off, but there are still very obvious, eras, as you mentioned, like that you came up in, that I came up. I absolutely had no YouTube, as far as like starting, and then into the first, geez, I don't know, started skating in like 97, 98 to really only getting a hold of like YouTube and what it was. I'm not exactly sure the year YouTube came out, but like what, 2004, 2005, probably something like that, maybe a little before.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah, somewhere in there.
So I was 2005. I was getting out of high school. So it was like, into the workforce. Not really having as much time for skating, kind of trying to have to make like life decisions and stuff like that. But I do think there is something to be said for like, I'm not trying to take away from, anybody that came after me or anything, but I think it was just like punk rock, just like music, like, you don't have going into a record shop anymore and just like finding bands. You just don't have that, the word of mouth, the anticipation, the waiting, like you mentioned. You could just go on YouTube and find it for the most part. And some cats didn't have access to the computers and stuff like that sometimes. So some of them were still living that sit around and wait type lifestyle. But now it's so widespread that like that there is none of that. I almost feel bad that in some ways but a lot of others just didn't even get a taste of what it is to be able to, find your new favorite skater in a random Trans World video, or a company video or whatever. Just like you don't have that going to a local show or going to a local record store.
Yeah.
And just finding demo tapes or local releases and stuff like that. Like you're just not going to see it. You're never going to be able to see it. And I don't think there's really a way that you replicate that. Like there's just so much technology and so much instantaneous gratification of, oh, I want to see this, bam, I got it. Whether it's seeing something new or like, oh, let me look up, Welcome to Hell on YouTube, and then bam, it's right there at your fingertips. Like me, is like, man, once I ran that tape out.
It's blurry too. Like you find it on YouTube and you're like, dude, why is it so blurry? Like, what is happening?
Yep.
Oh, it's called a VX1000. Like somebody didn't film this on their iPhone, dude. This used to be, this was a tape. Like, what I'm saying? But speaking of that, dude, what's even crazier about that, man, I found, so obviously I had a little Civic and I didn't have aux cord in it, right? The CD player. So I had like, the classic like book of CDs, like the big giant sleeve of CDs. And literally 5-10 minutes ago, dude, straightened up the house, found that book of CDs, just kind of looked at it for a second, and I was like, oh, I should pull this out and mess with it. And then I realized that there's literally nothing in the house, including this laptop that I'm currently talking to you on. Nothing in the house that can play a CD. Not a single thing. Like,
crazy, man. It's crazy.
Could play a CD. Like, I think, no, I don't even, my record player, I can play records and cassettes, but I can't put a CD in it. Like, I don't have a CD player. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just sit around and wait till they get cool again, like vinyl did? Like,
hey, I funnily enough, I actually heard, I actually had somebody say that same thing to me. They're like, you remember CDs? It's like, for one, don't say that to me like that, because that makes me feel instantaneously like I'm just a goddamn dinosaur. So, yes, I do. I have an insane collection of compact discs. For those of you that have never heard of what a CD is, short for compact disc. But yeah, they're same thing. Just, you think they're going to come back around like vinyl? It's like they barely left. What do you mean come back around? Like, like get a CD player.
Think about how long it took for vinyl to come back.
Yeah, it's like, if you're waiting, man, you might as well just pack it up. Like,
the CD timer just started, bro. They're still selling them at Walmart. Like, it's going to be a minute before.
Yeah. So that's
like revolutionary, dude. When Windows is like, yo, check out the new Surface Book 47, and it has a CD player, and all the hipsters are going to be like, oh, dude, you gotta.
Or maybe it doesn't. or maybe because it kind of skips, right? You know, like 8-track was a one-time thing and never came back around. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, cassettes kind of started coming back. I think cassettes are just more of like the novelty of it. I don't think it's really like, I don't know, because I don't really see people being attracted to the cassettes coming back around the same way they've been attracted to vinyl coming back around. Because like when that started becoming like a thing, and like I just think there's more to it though. Like that's the thing about vinyl. They're kind of trying to, you defeat the purpose. Because I think the thing about vinyl is people realized, oh man, these gatefolds, this beautiful artwork. People that love packaging, this guy, super about it. You know, the limited releases, the different colors, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think you really get out of vinyl coming back around, but cassettes, it's just like, no, that's the point. It's very small. It's very just easily broken. You know, like countless times I remember having to try and take my cassette out carefully, and if it unraveled, having to take a pencil and, you know, redo it and hopefully not smudge the tracks to where I put it back in and it sounds like absolute ass. But
you know what vinyl did for me more than anything, and I'm almost ashamed to admit it every time I do, but vinyl cleared up so many album covers for me, because like I probably say I didn't have the CD of it, right? All I had was the album cover on my iPod.
right.
So like this big of the album. So in my head, I was like, oh dude, that's for sure what this picture is. Like, definitely. And then I would like get it or see it on vinyl, and I was like, well, I've been living a lie this whole time. Like, whatever, dude. What's that Panic at the Disco album where it's like all those like chicks sitting at the bar and they're like in half or whatever? Is that Panic at the Disco? It is, right?
Yeah. That's their back when they were actually a band, and it wasn't just like a pseudonym for the one guy that's still in that band. But it was their first record, right? Jesus. Beaver, you can't sweat out, right?
Yeah. And I had that on my iPod screen, dude. So like I had a pretty good concept of what the album was, but I didn't really know for sure. And then I saw it on vinyl like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I was way off. I didn't have any of this right, dude. None of this made sense. But especially even like the older stuff, like that you really start getting like detailed in, you know, like I want to do like Kiss, like Love Gun. I got that on vinyl. It doesn't work. Like it's all scratched up and everything. It looks terrible. But I just got it because I was like, dude, I'm not gonna not buy this. It was like $5, and I was like, yeah, I'll put that in the stash or whatever and keep it. But even that, dude, like you look at that, and you're just like kind of like you said, like, dude, why is this art being wasted on a screen? Like wasting on something that's like this big. You can't even.
That's why I absolutely agree with that, and that's why like I tried. I had an iPod Mini or Nano, I think it was. It was like the very slender, thin one. I got that for like a Christmas gift one year. Thanks, Mom. My mother's not dead; she's not in heaven, but
shout out, dude. Just
live thousands,
like somewhere,
live 100 miles away. So it's just kind of big ups. But she got one for myself and my older brother, and filled that up with like a couple songs, you know, stuff like that, that I had at the time, and just never really took off for me though. I mean, it came in handy every now and again, you know, walking to work or whatever, you know, I'd throw that on, but usually I like to kind of, you know, keep my wits about me when I'm walking to and from work, especially getting off at night. You know, I don't really like to, you know, not that I lived in like this crappy neighborhood at the time, but just, you know, walking along the street by like, you know, by this little skinny patch of like grass or sidewalks, just kind of, you know, you kind of want to keep your head up and not really get lost in the music. But not just that, it was just, I don't know. I just liked my CDs. I liked a couple of vinyls that I had that I actually got from my dad, the little bit of the collection that he had left, that his brother didn't steal from him when he joined the Navy. Shout out to Uncle Harry. But he had a couple of vinyls that I thought were pretty sick, but I just couldn't, even though it was like CDs, because, you know, different eras and such, I was just like, and vinyl hadn't come around yet. I just still like the packaging. I mean, I think CDs were still the best you could have gotten as far as packaging and, album artwork, the lyrics, stuff like that. Cause I'm all about liner notes. I'm a sucker for liner notes. You know what though? You touched on a good point, having like smaller artwork and not really like getting it or whatever, what have you. Not necessarily the case for this record that I'm about to talk about. But you know what I think is the worst album artwork for one of the best albums ever released? Black Sabbath Paranoid.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
What the absolute shit has nothing to do, has absolutely nothing to do with the record.
We could have done so much better, dude.
I get like it's for those of you that don't know, Paranoid's Black Sabbath second record has still to this day don't really understand what it is, but I believe it's supposed to be some kind of like futuristic police officer or something like that.
Something.
So maybe it was a representation of a futuristic police state and the the paranoia in thereof or something like that. I don't know.
Dude, stop. No bread bowls on this premise. Nope. I am the Panera Space Police, dude.
Paneranoid. Yeah, it was absolutely terrible though. Like it's flawless record, front to back. I mean, the title track, Electric Funeral, you can't top that. It's right off the bat, Paranoid, Iron Man, two of the most classic riffs in metal and hard rock of all time on the same record. Granted, Black Sabbath, in my opinion, and many others started heavy metal, so obviously it makes sense that that's the case. But I just think that was the dumbest. Like, I never even knew what it was. Yeah, never understood. Never understood. Big ups to Black Sabbath. No knock on Black Sabbath, but I just think they went from having that first release, self-titled Black Sabbath, that looks completely evil.
That is scary album artwork.
You get where they're coming from. Exactly, right? You get where they're coming from, though. And then Paranoid, still as heavy, still as menacing. And then that just album artwork throws me off every time. Like, it genuinely pisses me off.
Dude.
And I think, in a way, it pissed them off, because then what do they come out with next? Master of Reality, very straightforward.
Yeah, just super simple. Yeah.
It's got their name, purple, black, gray, like just menacing.
Yeah.
Very minimally done, but menacing. And then the next one, they're just like, put a picture up there of Oz. Like, that's cool. Screw it.
Hey, if you guys could forget about that weird thing we did with the robot guy, that'd be sweet. We're not going to talk about that anymore.
That weird little futuristic policeman with his plastic sword and dumb helmet and goofy looking shield.
Stupid helmet. Dude, speaking of Ozzy, did you end up watching The Dirt, that Motley Crue movie on Netflix?
No, because, well, first of all, I know that you've been like hounding me to watch it, and so has everybody else that has seen it. Great things to say about it, this, that, and the third. But I just can't. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Machine Gun Kelly, who
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I didn't even know that was. I probably did know before I watched the movie. I'd probably heard it or read it somewhere. I just kind of forgotten about it. But I didn't know that was Machine Gun Kelly until it was over. Like, until the credits rolled, I had no idea. Like, he killed it, dude. He put the team on his back, dude. And he did a really good job. But, I mean, well, it's not really a spoiler because, like, Motley Crue's been around for a minute. So it's not like I'm going to tell you something about Motley Crue that you're going to be like, what? But Ozzy's got a pretty big role in that movie. And I'm not a fan. It wasn't Ozzy, but I'm not a fan because I feel like you leave Ozzy alone. Like, let's talk about the fact that Ozzy was here, because I'm pretty sure it might have been their first tour, their first real tour.
I think that's right. I know he did yeah, because I know that they and Metallica both had separate tours with Ozzy. Metallica toured with Ozzy in like 1986. Cliff Burton was still alive, so it was like 85, 86, I believe, Master of Puppets tour. But I'm not sure about the Motley Crue one. You're probably a bigger Crue fan than I am. I mean, I like them. I don't hate on Motley Crue, but yeah, I think that's you always hear that story about the contest between like him and the band, or maybe it was just Nikki Sixx, or and he like I don't know snorted ants out of
Yeah.
his.
Yeah. Well, in the movie they do it. They're like at the hotel pool or whatever, and it might have been where it's originated or whatever. But Ozzy's there, and he's like, I mean, he's blipped out. He's Ozzy, and there's like ants crawling or whatever, and he snorts them like off the pool deck. But then it's weird because like later on they show. I don't remember it, but I mean, it's been in every hair metal autobiography ever written. Somewhere in LA, that some dope house in LA that like everybody, like Nikki Sixx Slash, everybody was at. But anyway, even later on, dude, they show when Nikki Sixx OD'd and Slash is there. If you know Crew, you know Slash. Like if you know that era, if you're a fan of music in that era, you know that Slash was there or frequented there. And they did that way more classy. Like they just kind of were like, here's a guy that looks like Slash that's in the corner that's not going to say anything. But when you look at it, if you know anything about anything, you'll know that Slash. But 45 minutes before that, we're going to get a guy that doesn't look anything like Ozzy to have like a 15-minute scene. And it like, dude, leave Ozzy, like let him be. It's like that Michael Jordan made for TV movie.
Oh, that was super awful.
Dude, he's the Ozzy. And then even I think I texted you about that, dude. Like halfway through that movie, through the dirt, it turns into like that Michael Jordan made for TV movie, dude. It's so garbage. Dude, they didn't even do the audacity. They didn't even like let the dude playing Nikki Sixx grow a Nikki Sixx goatee. They just like I think just glued something on his face. But it's just that like this. It's just it's just an electrical tape on his chin.
That's what I don't. That's what I don't get. Like, there's so many people. Like, I guess it's not that big. And that was it's a Netflix release too, right? It wasn't like a big budget Hollywood studio type film.
I think so. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
So, granted, that's not to say Netflix originals and movies don't have the money or the ability to go out and find a lookalike. But yeah, I don't get with all the movies coming out with all the fantastic, even lower budget television shows and movies, especially like rock docs and biopics and stuff like that. You're seeing more and more like really like spot on, acting or representation and lookalikes and stuff like that. That is pretty wild that they couldn't find somebody that was close to Ozzy.
Almost more of a Tommy McMars movie than a Motley Crue movie in terms of you being able to like suspend your belief or whatever and just tell yourself like, oh, that's Tommy Lee and that's McMars, than Vince and Nikki Sixx. Like it doesn't feel the same. But those two, and I think I'm gonna feel so dumb when I finally figure it out. I have to look it up. Whoever played Mars is not someone that you would think would. I think.
That's fair. I do have a question though. Do they do? Because I respect this. Like, regardless of like what the actors and actresses and such look like, do they play their own instruments and sing the songs, or are they recordings of original like Crew demos and perform?
I don't know. I didn't look into it, and it's kind of hard to tell. It's not at all like that. What's that Hank Williams movie? I Saw the Light.
Right.
That they did that one right, but
shout out to Tom Hiddleston. Awesome performance.
I feel like, and then maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I feel like I could, if any of them, I could see Machine Gun Kelly playing instruments. I couldn't see any of the other ones. And it did seem like Vince, the guy playing Vince, was singing. but it's either he was singing and he sounds just like Vince Neil, or he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like it was almost.
It's not, in my opinion. I don't think it's very hard to necessarily sound like Vince Neil. Like he's to me, I don't know. And I'm not even talking about Vince Neil now, where obviously his voice is completely cast and gone over years of doing live performances and partying his ass off. But like, I've never really fancied him like that great of it compared to some of the guys that came out around that time, like Sebastian Bach, Axl Rose. I mean, even if you don't like these bands or hair metal or stuff like that, like these guys had pipes on them and could peel paint off walls, some of these dudes. But, you know, I don't know. Vince Neil, Bret Michaels, I think, is another one that kind of comes to mind. Where they just didn't really have that great of voice to begin with. So I don't think it would really be all that hard to replicate that, or at least come close to that weird style of singing that they both chose to do. But that's the thing. I can kind of look past actors and actresses sometimes, maybe not looking, you know, the part when, you know, at least they went out of their way to like learn the instruments or sing the songs, you know, like Walk the Line, where Joaquin Phoenix is Johnny Cash, or like you brought up Tom Hiddleston essentially walking right into the shoes of Hank Williams and just killing it, crushing it. Granted, Tom Hiddleston had both, where he looked exactly like Hank Jr. and nailed those parts. It was actually scary. It's like scary accurate. I know they have a new, speaking of that too, I know they have a new Elvis flick that's going to be coming out. I saw the cat that's going to play him. It's pretty damn spot on. I don't know if it's going to be the same case. Where
did you give a hint? Is it like whole Elvis, or like kind of like Glory Days Elvis? Or is
I would definitely say it's my favorite era. And well, I don't know. I've never really taken a poll of who and you know whose favorite era of Elvis is whose, but mine is definitely, you know, definitely hands down the 50s, early Elvis, because I just can't get with that like leather suit, insane belts, and you know, cloaks that he would wear on stage, and that's just not my thing, not my style. You know, but the kid who's playing him looks really young, so I'm assuming that it's going to be like a biopic, early years of Elvis. Maybe they get into that, him being older, like with Johnny Cash and Walk the Line. They kind of went the whole lifespan essentially. Not whole lifespan, but up until Folsom.
Did you see the commercial for that? I think it's that Bruce Springsteen movie that is not Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, it's about what is it? It's an Indian of Indian descent. Or I don't know if it necessarily takes place in India or anything like that, but he his like only getaway is listening to The Boss or something like that. It's pretty wild. Like it's pretty. I think that's kind of becoming like a little bit of like a commonplace, right? Like either if they're not biopics like your Bohemian Rhapsodies or Rocket Man, it's your movies about bands that have like a soundtrack provided, but might not necessarily have anything to do with them. Like physically, like Yesterday, the Beatles flick, Beatles inspired flick that just came out, which I've heard nothing but great things. Haven't got around to watching them, but and then like you just mentioned, the new Springsteen flick.
Yeah, I feel like you got to be super into Springsteen to watch that movie.
Funny thing, for those of you that don't know, the boss being Bruce Springsteen, is from New Jersey, where I just recently moved to. I found myself giving it more of a chance, because if you turn on like local radio, for those of you that don't know what radio is, you can tune in to these local broadcasts of certain stations in your area and get songs played at random. So the rock station, 104.3, I believe it is, the local rock station around here, they play their fair share of New Jersey artists, whether it's John the Bon Jovi or Springsteen, things of the like. Actually, they even play the Misfits from time to time. Shout out to Lodi, New Jersey. I found myself just trying to go through the catalog and see what all the hubbub was about, because I've never fancied myself a huge Bruce Springsteen fan either, other than a couple of the singles, Born in the USA, Born to Run,
Yeah.
things like
All
that.
the ones.
Yeah, they great songs, right? Great classic, rock songs, but going back to like his first and second record, really cool stuff. Like when people thought he was basically the next Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Greetings from Asbury Park, I believe, is his first record, where it has the original "Blinded by the Light," which was originally written by him. Those that have heard that song have probably heard the Manfred Mann version. For any of you that have seen the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, probably we're all about that song. As I kick the hell out of the table that this laptop sits upon. But yeah, it's a way different version. It's like I said, very Dylan-y, just like kind of like sped up and a lot more verses. There's like, I don't know, give or take 2 or 3 whole other verses that just were not in that Manfred Mann version. But yeah, really, really cool stuff, really killer stuff that he was doing on like the first 2 records. But yeah, past that, it's basically every record is, hardworking labor, up the unions, this is America, but also just like, I don't know, mad respect to Bruce Springsteen. A lot of people think he's just like another John Cougar Mellencamp or John Mellencamp, for those of you that don't mess around with the Jungle Cat version. Yeah, I think Bruce Springsteen, super, super badass songwriter, and yeah, very, very loved around here. The hype is real around Jersey, around the dirty Jersey.
Don't get caught disrespecting. Don't get caught slipping on the boss, dude. You get caught slipping on the boss, it's a wrap, dude.
They take it real seriously. Like
with the fishes, dude.
The Jersey, you'll find they have a gripe with let me rephrase that. If they have a gripe with something, they take it very seriously. Like the fact that the Statue of Liberty essentially belongs or resides in New Jersey, very big deal. You say anything about associating it with New York to anybody that's from Jersey, people think I'm joking. It's a serious deal. It's a make or break, and everybody that I've talked to since I've been here, not really that big of a fan of New York in general. Just like New Yorkers are not a fan of New Jersey. Like, look at you like you're pond scum. I was in school where I go to school actually in the city in New York, and I say that I live in Jersey City. They're like, couldn't go the extra couple miles and just take it to the city, huh? I'm just like, yeah. I'm just like, well, what's so bad about Jersey City? And I'm like, where do I begin? I'm like, okay, pretentious asshole.
They roll out like a list, dude. It just keeps running.
Yeah, just sweet little parchment paper of the ways that New Jersey has run them personally. Yeah, it's really weird. It's a really bizarre thing, but I think it's I don't know. I think it's got character. I dig it. And it's cool. Yeah. It's been pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what it is. Back circling around to what we were talking about. I just don't. I don't. Not that I don't see the allure of those types of movies, but like, I don't know. It's weird to see what I don't know what for lack of better phrasing, what things that the movie industry, music industry jump on from time to time. Like what's going to be the next thing that blows up and takes off? Like it was biopics for a second. Now it's like these band or artist inspired movies and just writing a song around that. Like, yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yep. I mean, even unrelated, not even music wise, film industry, but like just film industry in general, dude. Not that I don't appreciate it, but like whenever they're ready to stop making superhero movies, I'm down. Dude, sign me right up. Like whenever the decision is made, whenever they're like, dude, we ran out, we got them all, dude. Underdog. I mean, I think they already did Underdog. They're just like, dude, there's no more. I'm down. Hit me up, dude. I'll hop on. But I can't. There's so many, dude. What's that one, dude? What are those? What was like the stop motion? We talk about it all the time. I can never remember. Dude, the stop motion, like Nickelodeon, dude, the little action figures.
Oh, Action League now?
Yeah, dude. Actually, now when there's a Hollywood movie made about Action League now, we've gone too far.
Full-length feature film, Action League now.
They bring in everybody that matters, dude. Like,
That would be what's funny though is you're wanting it to slow down, and me, I'm a huge comic book guy and have loved a lot of the films that they've come out with. Not everyone, but a lot of them. Though I've still yet to see the three newest ones that have come out: Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame. I know everybody that's like, oh my god, you haven't seen that yet. And so the last one that just came out, Spider-Man, Long Way From Home. Haven't seen those three yet, and just saw all of the releases that were announced, or all of the future releases that were announced at Comic-Con this past week. A plethora, to say the least. New Thor's, or Thor's new film. Or television. I see that's the thing too. I didn't even look into the specifics. I know there's like a Black Widow. I think that's a series, not a movie. Thor, I think, is going to be a film, which is pretty cool because they're telling the story of Jane Foster being the female Thor, which is an awesome run. Shout out to Jason Aaron for writing that fantastic story. But yeah, it is a lot. Even somebody that's like a huge comic book fan, it's in superhero comic books. To be exact, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I am wondering though when DC is gonna just either revamp, redo, or what the hell they're trying. I don't get it. I don't. They cannot get right. If it's not a Batman heavy film, other than Dawn of Justice, which was a complete waste of time, and anybody that was involved, anybody that went to see it, just complete hot trash. But other than that, every other Batman film has been successful.
Yeah.
Justice League wasn't that great, but again, just focusing on Batman, like the original. Hold on, let me rephrase that because I just remember Batman and Robin, which was absolutely completely terrible. But
I did. Batman and Robin poster in my bedroom, dude. Thought it was sick.
Of course you did. No, they did. Okay, to be fair, without seeing it, I'll give you the movie poster. Movie poster is pretty tight because the characters looked awesome. Mr. Freeze looked cool.
Oh yeah, dude.
George Clooney looked like a good Batman.
Yeah.
Chris O'Donnell looked like a good Robin. Alicia Silverstone, my first real heavy duty crush other than the Pink Ranger. Shout out to Amy Jo Johnson, sub girl.
Shouts out.
But Uma Thurman, Poison Ivy, like I'm sure, that
was awesome, a sick poster, dude.
Awesome VHS cover as well as poster, because I'm sure they were probably one and the same. But horrible film.
Dude, I mean, also, dude, I think I was like, I don't know, 5. Dude, I wasn't like sitting in front of the TV just like, I don't really like the way the plot. There's
first of all,
like I was just watching it and I was just pumped that it was Batman and Robin. Dude,
okay, first of all, I don't like your tone that you're using, suggesting that a 5-year-old can't critique a movie.
Dude, I didn't care.
I knew
Batmobile, dude.
I knew for sure that movie was bad. Granted, again, a little bit older than you, but take it back a couple years. What came out when I was about 5 years old? 1993? 1993. Well, speaking of a 3, I knew that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 film was not good at all. Went to go see it in theaters with my mother and my brother, and we loved the end credits song. Shout out to Baltimore, Tarzan Boy. Awesome track. But yeah, they went to Japan and it was just too campy and just like even for TMNT.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it was. It did not have the same magic as those first two films got. In my opinion, I think those first two films hold up. I've seen, Mojo, what is it, Watch Mojo on YouTube, do like the top 5 glaring problems with the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie or something like that. Like there's a guy that they shot like this one scene and he was like crouched down and they caught it on camera, like stuff like that. But the movie in general, like the script, the plot, everything, the costumes, I thought was excellent. I still think to this day it was excellent. Secret of the Ooze, same thing. Shout out to Kevin Nash for playing Super Shredder. Awesome.
Did you know, I learned this yesterday, and I don't know, what's the word for it? Like canon? Isn't it canon if it's like not like actually written in, but it's like somebody, it is technically part of the universe, right? That's the word for that, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, Billy. That is the correct.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure it was yesterday. I don't know if it's canon or not, but that Daredevil is obviously blind, but like the reason for that and the reason that all of his other senses are heightened is the same ooze that made the turtles.
Where have you heard this blasphemy?
The turtles are in the Marvel universe, dude. And the only reason they say that is because I guess in like the first Daredevil comic or something, maybe not the first comic, but something in the OG days of Daredevil, there's like the scene with like little Matt, and he's like, his dad or whatever is like, my son, and he's like got the ooze in his face, and they show the ooze like rolling down a manhole, and then fast forward in the first Turtles thing, they find the ooze. So there you go.
Where did you hear this from?
I'm a Marvel expert, dude. The internet.
Where did you see this?
It was on a podcast, dude. I'll read it. Here you go. Right, I'm gonna look it up. Because are the Ninja Turtle? I'm telling you, dude, it was legit, bro.
I don't know how much I believe the Ninja. For one, the Ninja Turtles, I don't think have ever been in the Marvel universe.
Well, no, I don't think that they were saying that like that they're in the Marvel universe, but that like, so it must have been canon, but that like technically they are.
So what you're saying is it's not canon, that it's a theory that it could be, but it's not actual. Because to be actual canon, to reference back to your question, the actual definition of canon is it is believed and it is the rule all around, whether it's the turtle creators.
Because you're a dumb idiot, dude.
Yeah, no, like in a nice way, I'm trying to like.
Dude, so right here, it says,
you're stupid.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles origin story paid homage to the first issue of Daredevil from 1963, in which young Matt Murdock is blinded by a radioactive isotope while pushing an old blind man from the path of an oncoming truck. And that same ooze made the turtles after it rolled away down the manhole cover.
I think you're laughing because you're realizing how stupid this is.
I'm so confident, dude.
Yeah, you had the confidence. Like I was like, oh man, maybe he's got something here.
Yeah, dude.
You're not allowed to preface with you don't want superhero movies, you're not a comic book guy, and then
come drop knowledge, dude.
And then try and drop some knowledge on me, a guy that's been a huge fan of The Man Without Fear, as well as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles since before I could walk.
Dude, all right. Okay, all right. All that aside, you know what's worse than the third Ninja Turtles movie? Whatever that nonsense is that they did like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, you mean what was worse than the third movie? Literally everything after that?
Dude. No. Because there was
film form.
There was another animated Ninja Turtles series that was on, not like the one, but the other one. Like, like the classic animated Turtles.
Right.
Not them, but then after that, there's another one when I was probably like 9 or 10 that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago, right? When you're trying
It was
to.
like last week's still on, dude. You
So
can
I was watching it before I came on this podcast. Actually, it was sick.
DVR, dude. If you look, no, it was like no, it wasn't that bad. But whatever the movies were that they made a couple years ago, those are hot garbage, dude.
Yeah, they did. Well, they did that animated full length movie that was completely bad. That was supposed to be like the fourth film, but it was all animation. I didn't bother watching that. It's in a DVD combo thing that I bought. Is like all four of those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films, but I never bothered watching it. And then Michael Bay, Mr. Explosion himself, was like, "Oh, I got this." Like clearly, I handled the Transformers franchise swimmingly.
I did an incredible job.
Yeah, I mean, if I do say so.
Not
To
to
be, to
prime.
be fair, though, to be fair, what is Transformers about? You know, it's about robots. It's about fighting for you know ownership of Cybertron and explosions and stuff like that. I mean, that is literally what Transformers is about, and the relationship that they have with humans, and then their human interaction, and then humans interacting with the other. Like that was always like a secondary thing anyway. So it really didn't matter that he had Megan Fox and Shia LaBeouf and whether they were good or not. I thought they were okay. Like I thought the first two or three films weren't
Yeah, they're
that
pretty
bad. And then unfortunately, my guy,
good.
Mr. Boston himself, Marky Mark, who can do no wrong. Before that,
Well,
that was my belief. He could do no wrong. He did not make bad films. He had done wrong.
could have done a little better, dude. Could have.
Yeah, it was bad. It was quite terrible. But yeah, Michael Bay just I don't know what that was. It was just left and right stereotypes.
Yeah.
Horrible CGI. The turtles were just completely roided out. Bebop and Rocksteady were completely just like horrible design. Just the whole thing was just bad. Like I don't know what the answer is to try and do if there even is one, to do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2019. Whether you go back to real suits, kind of like how Star Wars is doing like the whole, oh, let's go back to like actual costumes and like puppetry and these cool like, animatronics and stuff like that, like Henson Studios did for a lot of the original stuff, and Lucas did for the originals. But, move away from like this CGI-ness of it all. I don't know what it is. I wouldn't mind seeing another turtle film done right, but I'm just like, if they're just going to keep turning out crap, it's like, no. I said the same thing when the prequels came out for Star Wars. I liked Phantom Menace, thought it was pretty good, and then it was just like, yeah, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. It was just, yeah, it was hot garbage. Hot garbage to me. Anybody that likes those films, you clearly, well, you're wrong for one, but then you just clearly don't know what good filmmaking is, because right around that same time, Lord of the Rings was coming out, and they were crushing it with their CGI.
You had to pick though. There was two camps, dude. See, because when that was happening, dude, I was still riding middle school buses, dude. So like, there's a Lord of the Rings camp and there's a Star Wars camp, dude. You had to pick one early on, or you would be cast aside, dude. And I picked the Star Wars camp, and now I know that Attack of the Clones is one of the worst movies ever made. But there's no way you would have convinced me then, And I still have not seen any Lord of the Rings.
Okay, well, for one, I thought that this podcast would maybe make it past the first episode without me wanting to absolutely come through this screen and punch your throat out through the back of your neck. But
dude,
that's insane.
Dude, I have seen absolute this much of
Bill,
it, dude. None of it.
You have misled me. You have misled the youth. Full circle.
It's a circle.
How do you live with yourself, right? Like how are you able to like be okay with not having seen Lord of the Rings.
Dude, I just feel like
Have you seen any of the Hobbits?
no. Dude, dude, I just feel like I have to commit
Bill, can you read?
like just months, dude. I feel like that's gonna just take months of my life for me. Like I just gotta and see also I got a bad taste in my mouth, dude, because Game of Thrones, everybody was like, dude, you gotta watch Game of Thrones. It's the greatest thing ever. And I didn't watch it, right? I was like, no, I'm not gonna watch it, mostly because I have HBO. But then I caved into peer pressure, dude. The last season was on, and I was like, okay, well, I don't want to live my life saying I've never seen it. So I started it, dude. I made it to like season 3 or 4. It was like season 4. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And like, there's so many people to remember, and there's so many storylines to remember. Obviously, I know there's not that many in Lord of the Rings, but I mean, isn't it just don't they just walk? We're just gonna watch 8 hours of walking.
No. See, that's the thing. Game of Thrones, and a lot of people try and make that comparison. I don't think they're the same thing. I think, for one, I've only seen, and you might, well, now that you just explained to me that you haven't watched all Game of Thrones or whatever, what have you, I've only seen the first season of Game of Thrones and maybe like the first 2 episodes of season 2. So I saw all the Khal Drogo saga happen, all that stuff. But yeah, big ups, Jason Momoa, otherwise known as Yoked Aquaman. I don't think they're the same thing. I think Game of Thrones is definitely like a lot more, gore and violence and like sex and just like all this, crazy stuff, where Lord of the Rings is just, not saying that George Martin didn't write great stories, but Tolkien just, something about those stories. It's just, I don't know. It's fantastical. It's huge. It's big. It was the first thing essentially to be written like that. When he wrote The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, it's just like the basis for all things fantasy, like anything fantasy, like wizards and the hobbits and dragons and all this crazy stuff. Like that was fantasy writing.
Yeah,
that was like what we today know as that type of style of writing in those stories. Like everybody, essentially, except J.K. Rowling took inspiration from that. And Tyler Brady, if you're listening to this, go fuck yourself.
Shouts out, dude. Tyler, he's not listening, dude. Because as soon as I was like, yeah, I've never seen Lord of the Rings, dude. Tyler turned it off. He's like, I'm done. I'm out. Can't do this anymore, dude. Bailing. He probably feels so betrayed, dude. All those times. Dude, all those times I was in his living room, dude. Just all that Lord of the Rings stuff. He's so over it, dude.
It was either a conscious decision. He either made that conscious decision to turn it off and walk away, or he heard that, had a brain aneurysm, and passed out. And now Leslie's calling the emergency contacts that she has to try and get Tyler removed from his hobbit hole. But no, I think it's two separate things. I mean, they're both fantasy stories, but I think Lord of the Rings it has a great story. Like, yes, the movie centers around to eventually just 2 hobbits, taking the ring to try and destroy it. But like that's just like in a video game. You have your main objective and you have your side quests. And sometimes the main objective is neither here nor there. But the side quests and the little things you do just make it the total package. You know what I'm saying? Like I could compare it to the first Devil May Cry game for PlayStation 2. Played that. It's awesome. But essentially, if you don't do any of the side quests, it's a relatively pretty short game. Mm-hmm. It's got it's a great story still, but like if you don't do any of these side secret missions and stuff like that, it's pretty short. But yeah, if you want to dwindle Lord of the Rings down to, they're just taking this ring, it's just them walking, it's all the side stuff, all the different conflicts, the different struggles with each character and how they're dealing with like this great power that is just all consuming every character in like a different way, and and what it means to be like corrupt, and I don't know, it's and what it takes to overcome that, and it even though what happens, obviously, if like you've read the books, much like Game of Thrones, everybody's like, oh, what's the last season going to be? What's the last season going to be? It's like, you could have just like read the books,
Yeah.
For the most part. To what I'm going to understand, I believe that they didn't do anything necessarily they didn't do anything huge that mattered to the story that he didn't already write in a book.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I dipped out. I gave it up after a couple seasons, but
Yeah.
I
So
haven't. I feel like I haven't heard anybody that has come up and been like, no, that is absolutely wrong. Besides,
yeah, all I've heard is watch Game of Thrones, watch Game of Thrones, watch Game of Thrones, watch Game of Thrones, watch Game of Thrones till the what is it, 8th season, whatever the final season is. I believe it was 8, 6, something like that. So it was watch Game of Thrones, watch Game of Thrones. Then this last season came, then it was like, this is the worst show ever. Why did they,
lost the whole fan base, dude. Think about it. Dude, these
Yeah.
people dedicated their lives to this show, and the last season comes out, and they're just over it now.
Yeah. You spent 8 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that shows that go that long don't have like bad seasons, but a lot of people talked shit that The Sopranos ended terribly with just cutting to
No, dude.
forward. But if you haven't seen The Sopranos up until this point, you're a fucking idiot. So it just goes to black, and that's it.
Yeah, The Office. When Michael left, I think that's like season 5, 6, one of them. That's rough, dude. And I honestly think, man, I've seen The Office like, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times now, watched all the way through. And I think had I been a fan of The Office when it was like on TV, like rather than just binging it on Netflix and it's available all the time and I can just go to the next episode, I think if I had to wait, I think once Michael left it, I probably would have been done. I don't think like those are hard to sit through, dude.
Yeah, I'm not like as huge of a fan of The Office as like pretty much everybody else that I know. Like I am a fan. I definitely dig The Office, but I'm not like one of those people. Actually, my girlfriend Rachel, she is all about it. She can name, actually no, that's not The Office. She's like that with Friends. Never mind, Friends. She can name episodes by like one line of dialogue. She'll know the name of it. She'll know exactly what happened. All that.
Yeah.
Super impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Office. I don't know. It's great. It's a good show, but I don't know. I've never watched the original. I know a lot of people are like, oh, if you like that. Actually, I think it's kind of cut down the middle. Some people are like, oh, if you like that, you'd hate the original, or if you don't like it, I think you really like the original English version.
Yeah, I've never seen the original. I've probably seen like clips, like little ones and twosy clips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it seems pretty good. But I remember when the first time I watched The Office all the way through, and it was over, and I was like, well, now what do I do with my life? Like I just dedicated afternoons to The Office, dude. Like what am I supposed to do now? And then everybody was like, dude, you gotta watch Scrubs. If you love The Office, you'll love Scrubs. You gotta watch Scrubs. And I gave that
Scrubs.
and I couldn't do it. But I also couldn't do it because then I got the Parks and Rec tip and I hopped on the Parks and Rec train. And they did that one right, dude. Parks and Rec's legit. It might beat The Office in my heart, I think.
I can dig that. I dig Parks and Rec. Another one that I'm not as into as like a lot of other people I know, but it is. I definitely get it. I definitely get the allure of Parks and Rec, just like The Office. Definitely not like I don't know what it is. I love comedic shows like that, like Letterkenny. Newer. I think it's pretty much caught steam now, and a lot more people know what Letterkenny is now. But that show, holy shit, Canadian show that's on. I think you could catch it on Hulu. Dude, it is so damn funny. I don't know. I've always been more of like a dramatic television series kind of guy. Like I'm super into Peaky Blinders. Can't wait for that new season to come out. Killer show. Like I said, back in the day, Sopranos, super killer show.
Lost, super killer show.
What's that?
Lost, sick.
What is it?
Lost.
Boss.
Lost.
What is that?
Like, dude, it's the greatest television show of all time, bro. You never watched Lost?
Oh, I thought you were saying Boss, not Boss.
No.
No, actually, I have this run-in thing with a buddy of mine, George, one of my best friends. who may or may not listen to this. So what up, George? He hated the fact that I saw like 2 episodes of Lost, and I was like, this show is just not my thing. And it like, he's another one of those people where it like kind of like changed his life. Like, he was like super all about it. I wouldn't go as far as say like change his life, but the dude was super into Lost, and I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I don't know. I just gave some like asinine, uneducated, ignorant like synopsis on what I thought Lost was about, and he was like, "You're literally stupid," and got like, I think, genuinely mad at me, and we kind of stopped talking about it for a while, and then like somehow it came up again, and I was like, "Oh, Lost, yeah, that shit's dumb." Like half serious, like half joking, you know, but like I just don't have that much interest in watching the show. Like, plus I heard like what the last episode basically how it all rolls out. So I'm just like, oh well, kind of ruins it for me. But there are some other people that are like, even if like you know what happens, it's still like a compelling show and this and that. Like, yeah, I'll probably, like, if we're being honest, I'll probably never watch it
at some point. Yeah, I'll hop on, but it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
But yeah, I don't know, man. So we've been chatting for a little while. We've covered a lot of different stuff, as I'm sure that future episodes, you know, should we continue to turn these out, I'm sure that's what they'll be like. But yeah, man, I think this is it's been fun. Like you spoke about in the beginning, it was just like having a folk conversation. This is pretty much what it entails. Talk about a number of different things and just wax about wax. Ooh. So the one thing that we really didn't bring up that we usually somehow get into is wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, there's really not a whole lot besides that Raw reunion thing that Stone Cold did, I guess. Well, I guess more people than Stone Cold did it, but in my opinion, Stone Cold's the only one that did it that matters.
Yeah, I saw that. I actually, funnily enough, probably one of the more random people that I follow on Facebook, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. I saw that he was on there, and I was like, oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
He's like a born again Christian type guy, like motivational speaker and stuff like that. So he's always doing like events of that nature, but he was on there and did some thing with Stephanie McMahon, or I believe it was Stephanie McMahon. I don't know. Honestly, I'm just talking out of my ass now. But yeah, I did see that happen. But yeah, that's usually another big thing that we usually talk about, whether it's years gone by or recent stuff. But yeah, this is fun, man. I think once we get like the hang of maybe better equipment, whether it's audio or visual, if we do wind up putting up the visual version of this, I think it's cool. But for those of you listening or that will listen, check it out. Check us out. Spread the word. If you like what you heard, if you didn't, if you thought it was absolute shit, I'd love to hear. I'm sure Bill would love to hear some kind of feedback. You know, definitely down for having a guest on or guests on in future episodes, stuff like that. Obviously, the first couple, I'm sure we'll just kind of try and figure this thing out. But we're jumping on the podcast train. I'm stoked, man. This was fun.
It was killer, dude. It was a good time. Yeah, check us out on YouTube for sure. I'm sure by the next episode we'll have more avenues of ways to listen. We'll try to get that figured out. But definitely for this one, at least it's going to be on YouTube. But yeah, man, this was sick, dude. A lot of fun. I think, like you said, hit up a lot of things. I think there's no better time than the now to kind of wrap it on episode 1. And then, yeah, dude, maybe do some equipment upgrading and see where we go from here, man. But it was fun, dude. Thanks for listening. Like we said in the beginning, all 3 people. Tyler, sorry you had to bail out about halfway through.
Yeah.
But
sorry about that.
yeah, man, check it out, dude. Check it out on YouTube. Slim and the Vulture, episode 1.
Numero uno. Yeah, appreciate you guys' support, and we will talk to you later.
Yep.